I'm going to use GIMP to create a tile for the ground. Now I could make a long piece of ground that goes all the way across the screen, but bitmaps is what we're making now are very memory hungry, so it's much more economical to do a small tile and repeat it across the screen. So this is GIMP 2. When it opens up by default, it's in 3 separate windows with the toolbox here, the panels over here, and the image file there. I don't particularly like this way of laying things out, and it's quite easy to change it. If we go to the Windows menu, go into single window mode, and then everything is combined together. It's a bit more like Photoshop. I prefer it, but if you prefer working the other way, that's fine. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to create a new image. Now, as I said, I'm going to restrict the size of this to 200 pixels wide and 100 pixels tall. Right. If you've got other measurements in here, just change it to pixels. The other thing I'm going to do is change the advanced options. Now, I don't want a background color here at all, so with this drop down I can fit it with transparency, and this way I'm going to produce some grass on top of the ground, and I want to be able to see the sky behind the grass, not a white background. Okay, so that's our image. Right, and there we are. We can zoom in holding the control key and using the scroll wheel. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to create a section for the ground. So I want this top part to be transparent. So I'm just going to draw a box selection over the bottom part here. Doesn't matter if it overlaps, it'll only go on the canvas. And I'm going to fill this with a nice browny colour. So here I've got the colour options, the foreground colour and the background colour. I'm going to change this to a nice earthy brown. And so I'm going to take it to the brownish regions there. A bit darker perhaps. Okay, I'm just moving this crosshair here, that'll do. And then I'm going to use the paint bucket tool just to fill in here. Now it will only fill within the selection. That's the useful thing about selections. Now it's a bit plain at the moment, so I'm going to add a bit of texture to it. And we've got these other brushes down here, and I'm going to use this sparse brush here and a slightly darker brown. Okay. And I'm going to dot some of these colours around the brush. Now I'm just going to choose a brush tool here. Right, we've got that size. I'm going to make it slightly bigger. Now these are the tool options for the brush, and here's the size. So I'm just going to make it, okay, perhaps a bit too big there. So another way I can do it is just to highlight the numbers and change it to something like 40. Right, and that'll do nicely. And I'm just going to put a bit of texture on here to make it look like pebbles. And it doesn't matter if you go over, because of the highlighted area will block everything out. Okay, that's good. That's good texture. Right, now I'm going to produce some grass on top, but I'm not going to produce it on this layer. I'm going to add another layer. So over here we've got our layers option. There's our background, and I'm going to just click here to produce a new layer, and this is also going to have transparency. Now I also don't want this selection anymore, because I want to be able to put some grass into this area. So up here on the select menu I can choose none, and the selection is gone. Right. So we've got some more brushes here. Select the brush. I'm going to use this vertical brush, and I'm going to change that to green. It looks fine to me. Now this brush is much too big. Looks like nobody's cut the lawn for a long time. So I'm just going to reduce this to about 20, I think. See how that's doing. 20. Right, now the other thing is, if I just painted across here, it would just look like a thick green line. So what I'm going to do is add in a bit of jitter. This will affect the brush. It'll make it jitter around a bit, as if I had a shaky hand. I haven't really. And you can change the amount by here, but I'll leave it at 20. Right, so I'm just going to go across and you can see the variation in height of the grass. Lovely. Okay, there's our grass, and that is our piece of ground, the ground tile. So the next thing to do really would be to save it. Right, so projects, CannonShot, source graphics, and I'm going to call this one ground. Now this gets saved as an XCF file. It's a new one on me, but it's the one used by GIMP as a native file format. Unfortunately, Unity does not read this, so we'll need to export it, and a good export would be a PNG file. So we can choose export as, and it's chosen the PNG by default, so that's good. Ground PNG, just export that. Alright, we'll just keep those options. And there we've got our ground tile saved. The next thing to do would be to import it into Unity and make the game.